Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And that new, I don't know how new it is, but that Cagey Elephant CD is really good, that third one.
Oh yeah, that's a really good album. Yeah, that.
When did that come out again?
Came out sometime this month. I think it was October 10th.
Oh, okay, so I always think it was a couple months old by now, so I was like, boy, I was like, how did we miss out on that? It's like, if it's only like a month, that's not that bad.
I was on Spotify, and they do a great cover of Cagey Elephant does a great cover of it's a Bob Dylan song, "Lonesome Death of Abby" something. I don't remember. It's one of those. It's like one of those Bob Dylan songs you barely ever hear. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they did a really good cover of that, and I was listening to that a lot. And then one day I was going on to Spotify just to listen to that, because it's on the. You could probably download it on Amazon or something by itself, but it's one of those CDs where it's like it's like one of those CDs where it has like 40 artists on it, and like 15 or 16 are really good, but the rest are
like
just
shitty artists.
Kesha, Miley Cyrus, but
yeah.
Tom Morello has one on there. Rise Against has one on there, so there's some good stuff.
See, if you can go there and kind of like cherry pick them,
yeah,
that'd be worth it.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just went on there to check out that new.
I don't know, like the back-to-back Miley Cyrus Tom Morello thing is kind of weird.
Yeah, that is. They just took, I think, anybody who's made like a Bob Dylan cover.
They're probably like, hey, anybody want to make a Bob Dylan cover? And people are like, fuck, I'll make a Bob Dylan cover.
It's just kind of like a CD of any, and if anybody.
And Bob Dylan shows up, he's like, Bob Dylan, I'm gonna make a Bob Dylan cover.
Bob Dylan. For some reason, I think we're doing, yeah, Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
You need some more subtitles at the point for like Bob Dylan, but yeah. But I also kind of realized some Bruce Springsteen's kind of like the raspy Bob Dylan. You also have like the Bruce Springsteen like Bob Dylan podcast, like, and Bob Dylan, I'm Bruce Springsteen, we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Because Tom Petty always just seemed like the on key like Bob Dylan.
He kind of does, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I was going there to listen to that song, and then I just saw they had this new album. Like, oh, I'm going right to Amazon to order this motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yep, and got it, and that's a really good album. I think it's probably. I don't know. I want to say it's their best. It's kind of hard. I need to listen to a little more. It's probably
To me, so far I've only listened to it like through twice, but it's just as good as the other two. I'd at least say that.
I'll say this: I like "Thank You, Happy Birthday" more than their first album. But
do you really?
Yeah, I do really like their first album, but I like the second one more.
I guess the difference between the two is the first one kind of has more like a harder edge to it, like
it's a little rougher.
We're angry, and it kind of has this like influence of more like grunge and punk, and the second one's like, well, we got money now, so kind of happy. So we got these more feel good songs.
It also has a little bit more. I guess that's more the mood I've been in lately. It also has a little bit more of kind of like, hey, things are kind of bad, but they'll be all right. It has like a couple of those type of songs in it.
Yeah, it has like a lot of those ones.
So in this one, I think it's kind of like a balance of, well, it's a little bit more of the second one.
It reminds me more of the second one than does the first one. Which a lot of bands kind of like, they always have first albums, and it's kind of hard, I think, to capture that same first album sound again. You almost have to become like a different band, like through the process.
I think nearly every band, their first album is probably a little bit more angry and rougher. He's like, we're so pissed off, we're not big. Like, oh fuck, we got.
Think of like everybody's first album. Mm-hmm. Like they're always completely a lot of times different. Like look at Stone Temple Pilots' first album. That doesn't really sound like the other ones at all. Or even Pearl Jam's one's a little bit more heavier. I mean, it's still Pearl Jam, but
yeah.
Or take like Metallica's one. That album's faster than any of their other albums was like at all.
The songs that really stood out to me on their.
Well, look at Vince Sevenfold's first album. You couldn't even tell that's Vince Sevenfold if you got into him later on.
Oh, I know. You'd be like, what's with all the screaming? Because the CD that made him big was City of Evil. Mm-hmm. But no, the new one, which was, what's it called? Melophobia? What's it?
I had to look.
It's something like that.
It's somewhere in my...
It's something called like Melophobia or something. It's something around some weird name like that. But anyway, and in it there's like the three songs that really stand out to me. It's probably the third song, Telescope, that sounds a little David Bowie-ish. It sounds a little like Ziggy Stardust-ish kind of, because it's talking about like, I mean, really, it's just kind of like a metaphor for depression or whatever. But it's almost talking about like a guy from space looking in like on a parallel universe or something like that, and then it goes on. It's just a metaphor, but still, you can kind of see it in there. And then there's the eighth song, which really stands out. I forget, The Hypocrite. That one really stands out to me. And then the first song on the album, Spiderhead, I really like.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
So, I mean, the whole album's pretty good, but
yeah, all 10 songs pretty good.
And then they get like they're like, all right, we're gonna have a song about a crazy, heartbreaking party chick. Who are we gonna get? Alison Mosshart from The Kills and Dead Weather.
I guess
that chick's one of my. I think that chick's one of my rock and roll crushes right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely one of my rock and roll.
The times I've listened to it in your car, that's the only times I've ever heard it.
she's kind of like, the way I think of her, I don't know how she looks now, but looking back on older pictures of her, she's kind of like, imagine kind of like Zooey Deschanel. She's a little more gothic, possibly strung out on heroin, but she looks hot still.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that could work.
Yeah. And then there's the new Pearl Jam album.
That one's really good.
Which that one's Lightning Bolt. That's what
that one's awesome. Mm-hmm. I listened to that one a couple times the other day, and I was just like, oh,
it's a lot of just kind of like Eddie Vedder hates religion.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, flip through that booklet, just like, oh.
Even has a picture. It's kind of like every once in a while, it's like, what's this song about? And you can like speculate. Every once in a while, an album, like, let's just fucking spell it out for you. They throw a picture next to like the lyrics, like, oh, okay.
Here, for the people who can't read.
So that one's pretty good.
That one, so far I really like that one. It's like I haven't listened to these albums enough to go like, okay, this song and that song, but
I really like the song "Getaway." That's the first song on there. I listened to that song so many times.
Then, do they do a cover of like one of Eddie Vedder's ukulele songs? Ones on there, like number like.
Yeah, they do. It's I'm sleeping alone tonight.
Yeah, that one.
That was one of two. I think that may be already an existing song that he's covered twice. I'm not 100% sure. It could be an Eddie Vedder song. I'm not 100% sure because for the longest time I thought "The Last Kiss" was a Eddie Vedder song or was a Pearl Jam song. It ends up being like some doo-wop song from the 50s.
So yeah, sometimes I can end up like that. I don't know. I'd have to check on like the ukulele one. Go like backtrack these songs.
There's actually one time because Cisco goes to this bar where there's a lot of karaoke, and I go with him once in a while. And the song I always do is "Last Kiss," and the few young people there, it's mainly an older person bar, but I'll tag along with them.
It's like Pearl Jam's not even like a young person band anymore either.
Yeah, but a few of the younger people there be like, Pearl Jam! Then like the older people in the back are like, you're like, that wasn't Pearl Jam, you pussies! I lost virginity to my wife when I first heard that song. We were 12! Then we got married.
And been together ever since.
I didn't get shoes till I was 15.
I was married before I had shoes.
Sometimes you hear like some old person stories and you feel like such a pussy, you know? It's just kind of like, I want to go into animation and fulfill my dreams. And sometimes you hear like, yeah, well, I was married, I had a mortgage and a wife at age 12. And I killed a man. You know?
Just to survive.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Oh, wow, okay.
I guess won't say more than that.
Yeah, okay, I'll just stop talking now.
Well, you just want to make cartoons. Of course you want to make cartoons. You know why? Because you're a faggot.
Get that so often. It's like, I should probably just leave this conversation.
People don't have this much respect for cartoonists, I don't think.
No,
there's something is about that. It's just like, there's people who are like, well, that's really cool, man. That's cool. Explain. You're like, it's cartoon. I'm not one of those artsy ones. I just make shit that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Explain.
Whenever I do go to a film fest and I take some of our stuff to it, it's very rarely. I mean, we'll go back to the Eddie Vedder stuff and the music in a second, but usually if I do take one of our things to our film fest, the cartoon stuff, it usually is some very kind of silent, artsy kind of thing. Where ours is always just kind of like, yeah, exactly. Like
I'm gonna fuck an elephant.
Yeah, like that, like some drunk Batman shit or Carl Sr. ad or whatever. It's just this really weird, it's usually just some kind of like artsy, kind of like, some of it's good, don't get me wrong. So there is some silent kind of artsier type animated stuff I've seen. It's like, oh, that was really nice. When there's some, it's just kind of like, this is how I feel deep inside. It's the only way I could really get it.
Well, there's those two. It's like I don't even think it's people going like, this is how I feel deep inside. It's more like, I know how to pull on their strings.
Sometimes.
Because a lot of times you look at it, you're like, oh, I see some of those ones like that. I'm like, oh, you are just trying to win over the audience. That's all you're doing. This wasn't made out of love or respect. It was just like, he's going to say that when he gets up on stage. But I don't know. Those ones always kind of like, I always take when I see that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times it's kind of like,
There's some of those, I get it. There's only so much story you can tell in 2 to 6 minutes or whatever, but sometimes I get it, and sometimes I think they do a good job, but sometimes it really shows. I think you're just doing the what you said, the
artsy bull crap that trying to go the audience will love me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
like, just make what you like.
I think
that's the key thing. Is just make what you like and don't try to please others.
Yeah, exactly. Back to stuff that we like
Pearl Jam.
Like Pearl Jam. The other song I thought was really good was Song 4, which is called Sirens.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's song 6, which is about it's called Hypocrite, I believe. I think not the Hypocrite. No, that's I'm going back to fucking whatchamacallit.
Cage the Elephant.
Cage the Elephant. That one's called song 6, Inflammable or Infallible, which is another like anti-religion song.
Yeah, there's a handful of them on there. Mm-hmm. But no, overall, I probably say that's actually one of the better Pearl Jam albums in a while.
Yeah.
Because the other two, like the last couple ones were good, but this one just feels kind of like, oh.
A lot of people didn't like Backspacer. I liked that one.
I like it.
Same with the Avocado one.
Yeah, the Avocado.
It's just called Pearl Jam, but it's an avocado. It's kind of like, the Beatles have the White Album, Metallica has the Black album. They have the Avocado album.
One thing I always went with bands just a lot of times. I think it's weird to make a self-titled album like later on in your career. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about that. It's just confusing. It's just like if you're gonna make a self-titled one, do it as your first album, and then that should be your only chance. Like later on, you should that album should just be called the Avocado album.
Yeah,
it should be called Avocado. Like it'd make more sense because that's what it looks like.
Later they're gonna come out with the Tomato album, maybe the Banana album.
And it's like, I mean, it kind of. I think it's once it's like people go, well, the Beatles did it. It's like, well, yeah, but the name kind of got changed to like the White Album.
Yeah,
as time went on.
I don't think that John or Paul ever said like, listen, one day they're gonna call this the White Album. I think he just like
Beatles.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Get fucking used to it.
Mm-hmm. And then they're like, Avenged Sevenfold had that kind of.
Yeah, they had their fourth one's called
the White Album.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, a lot of bands do it too. Motley Crue did it too. It's like Motley Crue, and they did it like at the time when it's like, okay,
Vince Neil wasn't in the band anymore.
We got a new guy, so we're just gonna call it Motley Crue.
And they're doing more of a grunge thing with that album.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was that '90s period where it's just like hair metal bands were like, okay, let's be this grunge band now.
Yeah.
Which actually is kind of cool because it kind of had like the mix of both.
It was different. I mean, I still like that album. I know some people don't like that one. I'm not the world's biggest Motley Crue fan. I do like them. I saw them in concert, but. I like that album though. I think it's good. It's different.
Like that one. I like it. It's different. I think that's what it is. It's not the same old. It kind of gives you something like, oh, this is completely different.
It stands out more than your average Motley Crue album.
But
another one I got recently. I won't drive on too long about this because I know you don't really listen to this band that much. But I got the new Deer Tick album, which is Negativity, which also came out this month. Mm-hmm. And oh my god, I love that fucking band. Deer Tick's probably one of my favorite bands right now.
Is it? For
those of you who don't listen to Deer Tick, what they kind of are is this way I explain. They're kind of like a dirty Tom Petty. Not that their lyrics are super dirty or sex-filled or anything. They sound a little rougher, a little grittier. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit of kind of like Bruce Springsteen in them, especially this new album, because this new album utilizes pianos and horns a lot more.
Huh.
Where the other ones was a lot more just kind of guitar, a little bit electric guitar, a little acoustic. Kind of has that It has that back road kind of country feel, but yet it's a rock album. Mm-hmm. And also, I'll say this, it has a little bit, not tons, but they usually have a little bit of like, kind of like, to me at least, kind of an Iggy Popness to them.
Huh.
They have a little bit of like a dab of punk in them every so often.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because there's some songs will be kind of like, the song "Let's All Go to the Bar." It almost sounds kind of like "Search and Destroy" because it's a fast song like I don't care if it rains, let's all go to the bar, and then all of a sudden that's on like Divine Providence, their last one, and like there's like a piano in the background along with the electric guitar, so it's kind of like it has a little bit of that, and I know that could be even traced back to Jerry Lee Lewis to a certain extent, but
Yeah, well, you could always trace things back farther.
But when it has that gruffer, garagier kind of garage feel, it almost I kind of sometimes go back to Search and Destroy from Iggy Pop on that.
Huh. Well, okay, I can see
I know that's not the original, but that's the one I go to.
But well, yeah, you still kind of like that garage rock bands or whatever, late '60s, early '70s.
I want to say this real quick. You ever listen to like your MP3 player and it'll be on random, and it will go to like you'll have like a live live recording of something. Mm-hmm. It'll say something and then it leads right into the next song. It's totally off base. I was one time listening to like this live recording of like Stooges, and Iggy was all like, "The next song is called I Got My Cock in My Pocket, and this is what it is." Oh, so the next thing is like, Love me do.
I had that once where like it was on the Brian Setzer Orchestra live one. He was like, "This is the song we won a Grammy for, so let's hear it." And then it went straight into like I want to say it was like Austrian Death Machine.
Put the cookie down.
Yeah, it was just like straight. It was either that or it was like Cradle of Filth or something like that. It just went completely different. Did you listen to that new Trivium yet?
No, I was having trouble. Like
that came out like this Tuesday. Once again, no album came out this month.
I had trouble like copying that onto the computer.
And that one so far, like, it's really good. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they kind of backed off the metalcoreness a bit and went. I mean, it's still there, and kind of went more like back towards like that. Like, let's go back to that Avenged Sevenfold route of doing like the hard rock metal band instead of trying to be. Well, they're still metal. I wouldn't say they're hard rock. But
a lot of hardcore metal fans treat that like you just stabbed them in the dick. The second you like say we're no longer doing the screaming thing, we're still gonna try and be pretty like a lot of like fuck you, you know, because like I guess you know a lot of them.
Well, Trivium is a perfect example of that because on their third album, they stopped the screaming like entirely. There's like one song that's got like light screaming on it, and people just like flipped a bitch, and then everybody jumped off that fucking ship, and they never came back on it. Like I feel like I'm the only real Trivium fan like in this entire area.
You and RJ?
No, I don't know a single other person who goes out and buys a Trivium album the last like 4 albums.
I copied it, but I didn't buy it.
Well, yeah, there's people that like that, but I mean, like, I haven't met somebody else who's like, dude, I'm gonna go out and get that new Trivium album when it comes out. Nobody else anymore. Like, ever since that third album.
There's probably a dating site for people like you.
I know, there's like Trivium fans only. Yeah. I always feel bad for those guys. I'm like, is there people, do they still make money? I'm not like one like the 100 people that buys our album every single time that they really look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's at least they're still getting work. They got enough fan bases to come out with. Because ever since the third album, is this the 4th album or is this like?
This is like the 6th album.
Okay, so they've had stuff since then, and maybe they're not as huge as they were, but at least they're still getting shit out there.
The first thing they did is like the third album kind of came out, and then like the 4th one was called like Shogun. They're like, okay, we're screaming again. Don't worry. And then
like too late. That boat is shipped out.
Yeah, it was like by that point it's like okay, because it's like this could go back to like their second album, Ascendancy.
That boat is shipped out. What the fuck does that mean? You know, you get the point though. That ship has sailed. There we go.
Yeah, like nobody was coming back on. They're almost like pulling up the port and like, come on in, everybody, and like nobody came. The only people that are there, the guys that are still on the ship with them.
People in the life rafts are like, fuck it, ain't worth it. They just stabbed the life rafts and just drowned.
And then even on like the last album they did, In Waves, it was like the screaming it's still all there. And then this one too, it's just like, and the sad thing too is like, that band was a band I felt like that had like, it was like, oh, this band could go up and be kind of a large scale band, and I think they've kind of, they're still at that lower end, and I don't know how you really judge that in music wise. I always just judge it by like, when you look at concerts, who is more top billed than others. That mostly tells you who's making more money.
They didn't do, they went the Atreyu route kind of?
Atreyu
was huge in high school then.
Yeah, I probably would say sort of like Atreyu.
They were kind of like headlining shit for a while. Then next thing you know,
they were like, well, Trey's one of those bands. Now they're like, I don't see them on anybody's tour anymore. They used to always be like, you kind of got Atreyu. No matter who you went and saw, Atreyu came with it. It was like the freebie.
Okay, let's see. We got Earl Jennings. We got Toby Keith. Atreyu opening. Okay, whatever. You know.
Yeah. Then it's like it didn't matter. Like, because strangely enough, Atreyu is one of the bands I've seen more than most other bands. Like, it's in like the top 5 bands I've seen the most. And it's just because they're always at every concert I went to. They were at every Ozfest I went to. They always played with Avenged Sevenfold. But nowadays, like, they don't play Avenged Sevenfold. Mm-hmm. The sucky thing about Avenged Sevenfold, though, now is like Avenged Sevenfold plays with all the shit rock bands, like
the
Five Finger Death Punch, The Theory of a Dead Man,
Mudvayne.
Yeah, bands like that. They play with all those ones. They play with all that kind of like, I guess, the generic hard rock. We call it the 96.7 bands, but I think everybody has a 96.7 station in their like hometown, home county.
They'll say like, all right, now time for some classic rock, and it's just like, okay, you're playing AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, like you're playing the main.
And here's our one Jimi Hendrix song because we're that cool.
Here's one song from 5 artists and like 2 songs from that 5 artists each, like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, maybe Aerosmith, maybe Kiss.
Yeah, maybe Kiss.
You know, and all if it's a Kiss song, it's like
Rock and Roll All Night.
Yeah, so something like that. And then like, you know, well, they round the Guns N' Roses into their classic rock block. Well, I guess it is by this point.
Well, so. Yeah, by this point, I guess it is. And you know, they'll have like the 2 Motley Crue songs they play and a couple other things.
Like now, time for some Nickelback.
And then it's like, you know, Theory of a Dead Man, and then and even other bands too.
Theory of a Dead Man. I hate that band Cavo.
Oh yeah, Cavo.
Well, they have that one song.
Hollywood Undead.
Hollywood Undead. I can go all day on Hollywood Undead, but Cavo, they're one of those bands. I don't know, just going off the. People say their bassist is really good. Good for them, I guess. But people like that's one of those bands. I just hate that one song they have. This is the only song I've heard about, but I just can't stand that fucking song. It's like, get in the camp, the cocaine, get in the champagne, It's like
I heard that one on there once.
and it was just like, this is where the bar is. I mean, I'm no, trust me. I mean, I'm no musician.
But I can point out shit when I see it.
And it's kind of like, I'll give you credit for being able to get a guitar and make a riff.
And make money off of it.
I'm going to give you credit for that. But really, the writing, just try something a little fucking better than that. And like, a guy I work with, I mean, he was a good guy, but he had complete shitty taste in music. I mean, as far as like 90s, like rock went, we agreed on, but everything else, we both like Soundgarden, we both like Stone Temple Pilots, and you know, that Pearl Jam, that whole era. But beyond that, everything else,
the 2000s, it just went down.
2000s and then like 80s and back did not agree on anything. And you know, he'd say like fucking he one of the only two people I've ever met that said fuck under pressure.
Really? Wow.
I didn't know you could say that and like not igniting flames, but okay, you know. But
was he more of a Vanilla Ice fan?
I guess so. He likes the Vanilla Ice version more than the Freddie Mercury and David Bowie version. But no, and he was talking about Cavo. He's like, Cavo's great, man. He's like, I can't stand that fucking song. Either other stuff's good, I don't know, but that song is fucking like.
He's also like a Buck Cherry fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you love Buck Cherry. and he said maybe you don't get it because have you ever been like fucked up in a strip club on like multiple substances? 'Cause that's what the song's about. It's like, no, I haven't, but. I've heard Cheeseburger in Paradise by Jimmy Buffett, and I've had a cheeseburger while in Hawaii, and that song is still shit, so
Yeah,
I know where it's coming from. So it's just one of those things, you know?
Well, the sad thing, too, about when it gets back to Avenged Sevenfold is they had this last tour, and it was like the Monster, whatever, Mayhem tour. They always have Mayhem after. It doesn't matter what company it is. Rockstar Mayhem, Monster Mayhem.
Shinedown was playing in that, I believe.
Were they?
I believe so. They were playing with them
If they
something.
were, because Shinedown's one of those bands, it's like, it's on those 96.7 things, but they actually have, like, decent songs.
Good songs, yeah.
But, like, it was those ones that's like, okay, Avenged Sevenfold was playing, and I was like, well, that's fucking cool. And it was like, it was a 2-day concert, which kind of sucks anyways, because that means they split it up, so then you had to pay double to see them, and they split up the only good band. And I was like, okay, Avenged Sevenfold's good, Steel Panther's good, Megadeth's good, and there might have been, like, one other something, or something like, okay, that you're like, oh, I won't mind that. But the rest was just, like, all crap. It was like Theory of a Dead Man, you know, Five Finger Death Punch.
I'm guessing Steel Panther is playing the first day.
Yeah, the Steel Panther and Megadeth were on the other day, and then
those two would be worth seeing. Steel Panther.
And then Avenged Sevenfold was on the other day. It's like maybe if they're all three in one day, it would have been worth seeing. But it's like I'm not paying $60 just to like literally like wait through shit.
Hear 20 minutes of Avenged Sevenfold. And
and then it's like okay, good night, see you guys.
You already saw them like 3 or 4 times beforehand, anyways. So.
Yeah, it's like before they used to play with like metal bands. Now it's like they're kind of like. The sad thing is now they kind of are stuck with these kind of shitty bands. Because like the last couple times, like the main reason I never saw Avenged Sevenfold was like I didn't want to see like 10 bands of shit before them.
And that's the thing about that's the reason I never really gone to Ozfest.
Well, like Korn was the headliner on the first night.
Oh, okay. Well, Korn, they're one of those bands. They never really spoke to me, but I understand why people like them.
Yeah, I can see why.
I got respect for Korn, but I know a lot of people lost respect when they did that song with Skrillex. Skillet. No, the Skrillex, the dubstep guy. They did a song with the dubstep guy. It was like one of those. It was like a song like called "Get Up." It's like, "Get up, get the fuck up."
It sounds weird, but that seems like something Korn would do though, because they were kind of like into that.
They did beatboxing and metal.
Yeah. So it's like I'm surprised people thought that was weird that they would do that.
It's kind of weird because I now see like Shinedown playing in a lot of these tours. I remember like that was a band I absolutely loved back in high school. Mm-hmm. I loved that band. And now
I remember because like when you originally handed me CDs, it was like you gave me like the Audio Slave ones. It's like, well, this is fucking badass. And even the Shinedown ones, I was like, well, these are pretty cool too. They got some stuff on it.
And it was one of those things when I first heard it. When I was I was like a very kind of like weird, misunderstood. Kind of like I was not in the in crowd. And like Shinedown, they did probably one of the most genius fucking marketing moves you could possibly do to like that misunderstood teenage range. And what they did was they put in like if you open, I believe it was their first album. If you open
their book, they gave you naked pictures of themselves for you to jerk off, dressed up as women.
Like these guys get me. No. But It was like, it said something. It said some. I still have this album. It's probably buried. Like,
Still had the saying with it though. There was a nice saying underneath it. That was really what it was. Wasn't the naked pictures of them dressed up as women?
It was actually. I still have all my CDs, even my shit CDs, just kind of like a milk crate somewhere, just like, well, you know.
Just a box of just shit CDs.
Well, no, it's just
More it's like childhood, just so I can always look back and see where I started.
Yeah, it's kind of, let's see. Okay, Daredevil soundtrack. Those are dark days. Shine Down. Okay, a little bit better. All right. Smash Mouth. Oh, that's 4th grade. You know, so
4th grade in a bottle.
yeah. So anyway, they had something like, this album is dedicated to all those who have ever been cast out of society for being different or having a different idea. Just some very generic thing like that. Like, these guys get me. They understand. All you gotta do is like 1 or 2 songs about being misunderstood. And you suddenly got the heart of every like misunderstood kid from age 11 to 16. So
that's the same thing Limp Bizkit did too.
Same. They had a little like letter inside their CD.
Even though probably Limp Bizkit's like, his fans were like, this is to all the guys that beat up the Shinedown fans and then go out and chuck a crate of Mountain Dew.
Now I think about it, they were like blaring like that fucking like rolling. Yes, they did. But now I remember I was just like, these guys get me. And just now I just thinking back like, oh wow, this is just like. Now I just look at that was just a genius marketing ploy. I'm not pissed off. I'm giving them credit, like genius marketing on your part.
Speaking of bands, I saw this thing. I was like, "Oh, cool!" There's like the Ozfest 10th anniversary. No, this probably came out like obviously during the 10th anniversary, but because this was like 10 years ago by now. But I was like, you know, because I went to Ozfest Hambletons. This was literally the year in between the ones that I went to. Mm-hmm. And did you know that Will Smith's wife played at Ozfest?
What the fuck?
I did not know this.
I don't even have
2005.
I got nothing. She played at Ozfest.
Yeah, and like, cause this
was she dressed like Niobe?
No.
From Matrix?
But not that
That'd be
far
pretty metal.
off.
That'd be pretty metal if she did.
But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Well, she had like one of those like weird kind of like, it was kind of cool because like, oh cool, a bunch of black people playing metal. That's always cool. But then it's like
Bad Brains or some shit.
But it was like, okay, there's a kind of a metal backbeat. Uh-huh. But the way she sang was kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like she had like these very like, these songs have like words of empowerment or something like that.
And yeah, metal kind of.
And yet kind of metal, but not like, it wasn't like she was screaming. It wasn't like it had, I don't know, it was fucking weird though. It's on that 10th anniversary DVD. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's like, it literally has like one performance by about half the bands on there, and they chose that one. And it's between like a concert in London and a concert in New Jersey. And they showed her in New Jersey, and it was one of those ones like, everybody in the audience just kind of like, what the fuck is this? And it even goes to the end, and she's like, well, sometimes some people just don't get it.
You see, like, Incubus watching this DVD, it's just like, shit, they gotta let us back now.
I know. There's always some bands at Ozfest, it's just like, how the fuck did they get on there?
Incubus was there for 2 or 3 years in a row, and
like,
it's like...
In the early days, too, it's like, and they're on the same years as, like, Pantera and Marilyn Manson and Slayer.
They had to be probably openers or something, because how can you imagine what it'd be like if they were, like, say, like, if they slapped Incubus between, like, Pantera and Megadeth? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
The fucking carnage. They start riding the stage, like, quickly, guys, kick hacky sacks on them, it will warm off.
But yeah, there's always, like, I always think these things, like, okay, if Tommy Lee was booed off stage at one of the Ozfest...
For, like, singing a song about his son, right?
No, it wasn't that.
Oh, that's a different time he was booed off stage.
That was just regular Motley Crue concerts. But, no, because Tommy Lee had some, his kind of like his own project band that was some rap rock band. You know, he's trying to be Limp Bizkit or something. It's probably actually kind of cool because there's, like, that one Tommy Lee band that does rap, or another band. There's that one Tommy Lee song on the Motley Crue album. That he's doing
Boom.
like, yeah, and like that's kind of cool. If it all sounds like that, that'd be fine. But yeah, if Tommy Lee, who played in a metal band, is booed off stage, what the fuck do you like? It's like I feel bad for these other bands. It's like
somebody who was like the drummer to like one of like the bands that created hair metal got booed off stage right
it's
there.
It's like one of the ones like almost Ozfest might not exist without Motley Crue, and it's like he's getting booed off.
Maybe you could clarify this, and I feel dumb for asking, but I heard there's like 1 or 2 years Ozzy did not play at Ozfest.
You know, that probably could be. That might have been some of those later years. Which, like, in a sense, I feel like Ozfest is almost those things, like, it could almost keep going on without Ozzy. It's almost like...
It's gonna have to at some point.
He's the one who started it, and it's like the spirit of Ozzy. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the whole point is to have, just the mixed metal bands, which kind of sucks. The last 2 years, Ozfest hasn't happened.
Which remember they actually...
And that's like one of the only good, like, in a sense, tours, I feel. Because most of those ones, it's just like, because now it's just like, I think what kind of killed Ozfest in a sense was everybody else decided, like, hey, we're going to start our own kind of, like, mini Ozfest things. So Slayer did their own, and Megadeth did their own, and then the downfall of that, though, is it kind of splits, apart, like, the group.
I know this is one of your favorite bands, so I feel bad for mentioning this, but I think you'll agree with me. Motley Crue started Crue Fest.
And Crue Fest was a kind of like, I didn't go to, once again, many things of life, I didn't go to Crue Fest because of the 4 bands that opened up before them.
And it was
like Buck Cherry and Theory of a Dead Man.
It was in Hollywood Undead.
Hollywood Undead.
It's always the same bands, but those bands are just they don't. I'll say this: the Miles Kennedy from Buck Cherry, is that his name? Miles Kennedy.
He has good songs on Slash.
He has good songs on Slash, and he has a good singing voice. I just don't really care for their overall just type of the songs they sing. It's not my thing. Because a lot of them seem to be trying to like find that balance between like 80s hair metal and then 90s grunge rock. They seem to be finding that weird balance. Like a lot of those bands,
Well, because a lot of those bands kind of feel like we have that party aspect of like an 80s band, but then we have that kind of like rougher and lower voice singing of like a grunge rock band.
Mm-hmm. And more of a...
somehow, that sounds like the best combination in the world. It really does. Mm-hmm. If somebody tells you like, well, what's this band sound like? It sounds like a mix of like Soundgarden and Motley Crue. You're like, well, I'm fucking there. And then you get there and it's like... not what I was thinking.
They're not really pan out the way we all hoped.
Yeah, it should have been amazing. I don't know what happened there.
But they had, and I remember it was like, I was considering going because tickets were cheap. And I was like, well, Motley Crue's playing, 6 a.m., whatever. They got 1 or 2 songs, a little preachy to me. And then it's just like everything else. Like, what else they got? Like, because I have a friend who's a big Motley Crue fan, and she was like, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, okay, no, I'm sorry. You have a fun time now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I love Motley Crue. It's one of my top 5 favorite bands. It's like, I'm not going to go, though. I'll put up with a couple crappy bands. Okay, say if there was 5 bands there, and 3 of them were good, and 2 of them were crappy, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But it's like 4 crappy bands, and no.
I almost went to, and I don't even know if these were all bad bands or not, but it was Outlands or Outskirts. I get those 2 mixed up.
The one in San Francisco?
One in San Francisco. And the bands that were playing that I
KG
knew...
Elephant was there.
Was KG Elephant there?
Or they were there last year, I guess it was.
It wasn't this year, but I think I would have noticed that one. It was.
But there was only like 3 good bands though, out of like 50.
I saw like 4 or 5 good bands. I saw The Heavy was there. I really like The Heavy. Willie Nelson was there.
That's cool.
It's not a band I need to see, but it's a plus for seeing them. I think 9 Inch Nails.
It's cool, and it's like I'm not a big fan of 9 Inch Nails, but it's almost like cool to say just like I saw them.
Yeah. And they got some good songs here and there. I think Trent Reznor is a really good writer.
It's cool because like he's the only guy that does it too.
Yeah, and then there was the 2 big ones was Paul McCartney and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah, I did see this one. It was like I saw that I was like, yeah, there's a couple bands on there, but I'm not gonna put up with like 45 bands I don't care to see.
Those 5 really sold me, but everything else I didn't know what they were. I was assuming kind of like hipster. Like handlebar mustaches and like unicycles, so I'm like,
well, yeah, it's like I don't want to go for 3 days just to see 3 hours of what I want to see.
Yeah, so
and it's like the sad thing about concerts nowadays is it's hard to find bands that just play by themselves anymore, or just like 1 or 2 bands, like
It's one of those things. The 5 bands I want to see, it's not like they all played on the same day; they were split up.
So you had to pay the whole price. Yeah, so it doesn't even make it worthwhile.
Which I'm sure there's a couple other good bands in there, but I didn't know.
You might find a couple bands that are
There's
cool.
some band apparently. I know a lot of people like them. I've never heard one of their songs. But Vampire Weekend. I have no idea what the fuck they are, but I hear that.
I hear that name, but I have no idea what they are. I'm kind of afraid to know what they are.
Yeah, so I was just like, nah, I'm good.
I don't know. We just need Ozzy to like do something about that Ozfest though.
Oz just shows up to every
because
single...
Ozfest was one of the ones that's like, okay, yeah, you always got your kind of like, I guess, generic screaming band that you can't tell one from the other. Mm-hmm. But Ozfest still was one of the ones like, what made Ozfest cool is that you always had at least about 6+ bands that were totally worthwhile going to see.
Yeah.
And then the thing is like when those bands that like, the kind of the screaming like we all sound the same kind of bands. Mm-hmm. There was all this kind of like fair attraction type things that you could go to. So it was just like that music was in the background, but you're like, oh, there's a PlayStation booth, so I can go play the new PlayStation games. Or, there's a guy who's going to get kicked in the nuts by a soccer ball. I'll go watch that. And there's just all these other things just going on. So it's kind of like going to the fair if your fair was like Ozfest styled.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
And then to top it off, it's like, I was just saying, it's like in 1 year.
You get the occasional band trying to like start shit with another band on stage. Like you said, 1 year the guy from Disturbed was all like,
oh, he wasn't trying. I don't think there was nobody ever trying to start shit.
But he was all saying like, it's kind of a dark time for us because we got all these bands with makeup and some depressing shit, but we're still here to rock. He looks off stage at him Shadows, who just got done playing or some shit.
Well, yeah, because Avenged Sevenfold played right before that. I was like, he's all like shitting on these like makeup bands. It's like that. I know he's probably talking more about like My Chemical Romance or something like that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Which the weird thing too is because I remember because we went to go that was a really good year because it had Avenged Sevenfold. And even Disturbed, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Disturbed, but they put on a pretty good, like, live show.
Every so often you can get a little, like, redemption. Like, I was at the Bridge Benefit 1 year. I don't dislike him. I'm not really a big Dave Matthews fan, but he was playing 1 year at Bridge Benefit. Yeah. He put on a good fucking show. So
sometimes those people put on better shows than you think. But let's see, it was Avenged Sevenfold, Disturbed, System of a Down was the headliner, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Label Society.
Oh, there you go.
Dragon Force.
Mm-hmm. They always close out with Ozzy.
This year Ozzy was like he wanted to be done like at 6 o'clock or something like that. So like he on the first stage he was the last one, which that was really badass.
So I told my son I go to a signing, so
So System of a Down was actually like the headliner band of that one, which was also their last tour.
There you go, System of a Down.
Until like they recently did one like this last year.
That's a good way to go out on in System of a Down.
Yeah, for that time they took a little break.
And Surge Tank.
I feel like there was other cool bands there, but that was like it's like that's over 6 bands. Oh, Trey was there. Mm-hmm. Of course.
Atreyu, yeah.
And then like, the last time I went to was 2004, and Atreyu opened up. In a sense, you can say Atreyu opened up for Slipknot. Or no, take that back. No. Between that, Atreyu was a little bit farther back. No, there was that band. I hate this band too. It's Hatebreed.
Oh, Hatebreed.
Yeah.
I can't. They run together. I can't tell a difference between Hatebreed and just. Is that like the pig squealing shit?
I don't think they have. No, you're thinking of like Job for a Cowboy and things like that.
I can't stand that bullshit either.
No, Hatebreed's before that. They're just more kind of like, almost like if they're like a heavier version of Five Finger Death Punch, I guess you could say.
Oh.
But just I remember like there's just guys like
that's not saying a whole lot.
Hatebreed. It was just like please. Like it's like and it took like Slipknot like 40 fucking minutes to like come on stage. I remember because I was watching that 10th anniversary DVD and it's kind of cool because they kind of explain like the history and all this stuff of Ozfest. They're explaining like we have a thing. It's like it takes 5 minutes for each band to set up and stuff like that. I'm like yeah, tell it to Slipknot. It took 45 fucking minutes to set up.
I remember.
Don't get me wrong. It was worth it by the time they finally started playing. But Jesus Christ.
I remember you said 1 year you went there and there was. It was one of the funniest things. Is nobody can see the motion I'm about to make, but you were doing this. You're saying like, what you got to do is you got to make friends with the bikers. Because,
no, this was Avenged Sevenfold actually.
Well, you said like there was like no, it was like a Black Label Society was playing. You said.
Oh.
And then like you said there were some little emo kids. You made this motion like you're doing like the Johnny Bravo like do the monkey with me, but yet you had your hands out like T-Rex just flop up for like yeah like with the gaze bands like there'd be some little emo kid like yay Atreyu. And all of a sudden the bikers just walk by and just like push them all out of the way.
No, it was funny because like really like. These bikers must have just, like, they knew, like, in their mind, there was, like, this thing that went off as, like, Black Label Society's gonna be playing in 15 minutes. Everybody move in.
Zach Wilde told me through a biker telekinesis.
And these bikers just came out of nowhere. And, like, Atreyu played right before Black Label Society. And these guys just, like, they literally just took, like, it was like an arm of steel. It would just, like, push, like, 30 people out of the way. And they would just, like, walk up and then stand there cross-armed with sunglasses on and leather jackets and whatnot, just be like...
And not clap or dance.
No, not clap or dance or anything. It's just fucking still. Like, they're just yes.
Like, I am the metal sponge.
I will absorb it like a statue.
Yeah. He's the metal sponge.
And then like then you almost kind of wonder. It's like after Black Label Society played, like they just kind of like disappeared.
They just like sink in the, just like sink into the ground or something. You hear their Harleys from around the hill just drive away.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's like they literally just came in and just like pushed these like Atreyu kids out of the way, like. Didn't say anything, just whatever, just like just.
And this is like in the swing of the emo shit, so you know that all these kids are pushed out of the way.
Well, yeah, because this was
they had the reverse mullet going on.
Because this was at the time when people had no idea who the fuck Avenged Sevenfold was. Mm-hmm. Like, or at least at Ozfest, they had no idea. And then, like, it was like, me and RJ knew who they were, and then, like, there was obviously other people there. It was funny, because, like, the last tour that Avenged Sevenfold did is, like, there's these people wearing an Avenged Sevenfold t-shirt that said, like, Avenged Sevenfold to My Chemical Romance, and they're going to a fucking Ozfest. And don't get me wrong, like, in the long run, I realized that My Chemical Romance is actually an amazing band. But there was a time period where it was like, I can't listen to this.
Yeah,
like,
there is...
crazy?
I remember there was also at a time where it was just kind of like, everyone just hated emo, so, like, a big kind of like a big collective. You'd be like, emo sucks. You don't like emo? No, I don't like emo either. And then like you never really give it a chance.
No, you just don't even listen to it because you're like, it's not worth it. I can't be exposed.
I can't be judged. I don't want to be judged by my friends. And then one day somehow you come across a My Chemical Romance song, like it was okay. You know, then you kind of go back and listen to it again, like. These guys are actually pretty... Once you get out of high school, like, I don't give a shit. These guys are actually pretty talented. Maybe I don't like all their stuff, but...
It was really weird, because, like, I found this MP3 player, like, at the gym that somebody left there. And it was there for a couple months. I'm like, I'm gonna take it fucking home. I'm gonna see what's on it. And it had, like... There was a couple albums. It was like, oh, okay, let's see. There's a My Chemical Romance, and there's a Green Day album and stuff like that. I'm like, I'll just start listening to it. And then as I listened to it, I'm like, you know what? I don't know why I ever said I never liked these bands. These bands are actually fucking amazing.
I think it was a lot of the thing was almost... Because I'll say this, even... The only My Chemical Romance albums I've heard was...
Fuck it, My Chemical Romance can play at Ozfest for all I care.
They actually broke up not too long ago.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, though.
I don't think they broke up like... Because people always say like they broke up as like you just picture these two guys like fighting each other. Like, fuck you, brother, you fuck!
Fuck you, Gerard!
Yeah, it's like, I'm checking my fucking GameCube. And then, like,
go work on fucking Umbrella Academy. Great fucking comic, by the way.
Yeah.
But
I think they had, like, that kind of, like, the System of a Down thing. Where it's like, well, we're going to try some creative differences.
Yeah.
Like,
I like to believe that's what happened.
You don't want to believe it's, like, some fucking, like, 80s band breakup.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody ever got along when they broke up in the 80s.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Steven Adler, like, and, like, Guns N' Roses, like, my so-called friends kicked me out of the band.
That was, like, on a TV interview or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But no, if they did play at Ozfest, they would need like a fuck barbed wire fence. They need like laser fences from Star Wars or some shit. They need that.
Yeah, because it'd be a little difficult.
That force field thing that comes up between Qui-Gon Jinn and like Darth Maul. They need that thing if they're gonna play.
Yeah, because it's like Ozfest is one of those ones. It's like very few makeup bands can play in there. You know what I mean? It's like Motley Crue played there in one of the last runs, and you know, obviously Avenged Sevenfold played there.
But they kind of slowly stripped the makeup thing away after a while.
Yeah, it's just like, that kind of went away. But they've still had it, I guess, at that period.
Now they do now he does the whole thing. From what I've seen, he'll be wearing sunglasses, have his hair slicked black. If he's wearing a shirt, he's wearing like a black tank top with ripped up sleeves, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of always had that. That just had makeup with it.
Mm-hmm.
More as like the other guys wore makeup more than like M-Shaz.
I know.
Even though he looks really good, and he has long hair. It's like, oh, he looks good like that.
I remember for a while. I'm gonna go back to My Chemical Romance in a second. But I remember if you opened up the little booklet thing, it would have like buy more Avenged Sevenfold stuff. You could see it was an earlier ad because they had makeup. They had the kind of reverse mullet. They were wearing long sleeve shirts.
About like the one that's in the Waking the Fallen one? Or it's in it's one or the other.
I think, yeah, and he's wearing like a long sleeve shirt. He has his hand out. It's like the CDs are kind of floating in the palm of his hand.
They're all like white and black.
Yeah, and they just have kind of like, they have makeup on. They kind of have the pouty face.
Yeah.
One or two of them have the reverse mullet. Just to be clarified, Spencer and I, we called the emo cut the reverse mullet. Just to be clarified.
That's really what it looks like. It just looks like you took a mullet and you slapped it around.
Yeah, and kind of like maybe like diagonally, because it's not hanging directly down your face.
Yeah, well, you gotta see out at least one eye.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
well, that's the thing. Is, I remember when I originally saw Avenged Sevenfold when like that, because I like the Waking the Fallen one. I remember seeing pictures like that. I was like, I don't know about this band. there was that first moment you just look at pictures like that, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, but ironically, that's when a lot of metal fans really liked them. Now, when they had the more emo cut thing going on, and now a lot of them feel betrayed. They don't have the emo cut, but now they have the more hard rock thing than the actual.
Well, yeah, because now like it's like in a sense it's like they're still technically I would say metal, but like they've kind of hit more like I guess a hard rock kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily the hard rock work almost kind of gets ruined nowadays because of other bands, but yeah, it's like I don't know.
I remember when they had like, but no, I was gonna say. My Chemical Romance. Only two albums I heard by them is The Black Parade and Danger Days, which is the it's supposed to be, it's kind of like a radio broadcast in some post-apocalyptic world of some sort.
The concept album.
Yeah, and those two are really good. I can't speak on anything else. And the thing about emo is, I think the look I think more what killed emo for me
is the look.
The look, and a lot of the kids that would listen to it.
Yeah,
more than the actual
I think
music.
that's probably the main reason I didn't like it either. It's just because you look at people like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
God forbid.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times it'd be really pissy, really whiny kids. They're like, "Oh man, stop it," you know?
Yeah, and then you always get like there'd be like the skinny guy, and then there'd be like always be like kind of like a chunkier guy, like, see, like, oh, lift, don't listen to my emo, and then he'd swing his hair out of his eyes. Or there was like, I remember there was a kid fucking in school who was like, he always had his head tilted backwards so he could see out because his hair covered his eyes. It was like, he's just like, Jesus Christ, come on, just like, it's just like, there comes a point where it's just like, okay, this is clearly like
this lifestyle is just becoming kind of a nuisance. To
and,
yourself.
And it seems weird to think about, though. It's just like the emo thing doesn't really, like, in a sense, exist. I'm not saying that you couldn't find somebody out there, but
there's still a few holding on.
Yeah, but that's like with any music, you know what I mean? There's always still like a couple people out there that's gonna be like that. But it's one of those ones like you don't just walk down the street and see an emo person anymore.
Like, I'm thinking now, like, it's kind of weird when you think about it.
Where do they go, though?
Where do emos go when they die? But,
not like all emos go to heaven.
All emos go to heaven. All emos go to meh, whatever, I don't care.
Just go halfway between.
Go to purgatory. It's all I deserve, I guess. It's lame, but so's heaven, so fuck it.
Hell's stupid, too.
Yeah, it's lame. It's been named last
Stupid people there.
Yeah. I can't listen to Tokyo Hotel there. At least I can listen to it in purgatory.
No, not judged in purgatory.
That was one, Tokyo Hotel or whatever.
I remember that one, too.
Just double checking. But, there was...
It was like those ones, like, at some point, you're like, I just gotta see what one of these guys, like, music videos look like. You're like, oh my god.
Every so often, though, it's kind of one of those things. I'm wondering what's going to happen, because every so often, you'll see someone from an older generation still, like, grasping on to the hair metal look. Mm-hmm. They'll just be maybe in their 40s or 50s, but they're just clinching on to that look. And it's like, okay, we see where his mind and his heart is. Uh-huh. Then we'll see, like, some guy who's still just gripping on to, like, grunge rock. And you can see the flannel. I mean, the flannel's kind of come back with the whole hipster movement thing. But still, I mean, you'll see, like, grunge rock.
Or you just get the old hippie guy or something.
Yeah, you see... I want to know what a 50-year-old person in emo clothes is going to look like. I really want to fucking see that.
We gotta wait about another 30 years.
I want to see, because every so often you might see an emo cut, like, oh, but you don't have the full getup. You have the emo cut. Maybe there's a reason why it didn't stay around as long as it did.
Because it doesn't age well. I just think that's the key thing to it.
Maybe when the U's, I don't know if they broke up or something. But maybe say the U's.
So there's a name drop right fucking there. There was a band that was really popular, and God knows where that went.
Yeah, they were like another Atreyu kind of.
Because I remember them, Atreyu, and My Chemical Romance were like the biggest ones in high school.
Like say the U's kind of do like a reunion tour or some shit. We'll see a lot of people donning on the reverse mullets again, donning on, like, going to, like, their bat cave in the back of their closet with the same skinny jeans they had when they were 17, donning that shit again, you know.
It's just like all these bellies hanging out.
On these super tight, like, slim fit shirts. I want to fucking see that now.
Because, like, you know, in a sense, you can look at other music, it's like, okay, like, the aging hippie, that works well, because their clothes were all flowing and loose, and it kind of made, you know, it was made to, like, age into.
The hair metal is kind of a little harder. But
the hair metal can kind of work, because, you know, you still see, like, a guy who's got, like, he's got kind of, like, a teased up mullet. Mm-hmm. He's kind of buff still, you know, but he still rocks, like, a tight, like, White Snake t-shirt or something we're going jeans.
Maybe acid wash jeans, possibly.
Yeah.
We're going for the best possible stereotypes. That's not always the case. Sometimes you get the guy who smells like piss, who has a huge gut, rocking, like, you know, the Dio shirt, you know.
Yeah, then you get that guy who's wearing sweatpants
and with like a chain wallet for some reason with those sweatpants.
A chain rush wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's that, and I feel like grunge could age pretty well too, because it just looks like you work out in, like, the woods.
Yeah, grunge could work out in the sense, depending on where you're at. It could look like a grunge rocker, or you could look Canadian. One of the two things.
Yeah, maybe that's where all grunge rockers goes to Canada.
Yeah.
And then what about, like,
we won't judge you here, eh? Come on in.
What about that, like, industrial metal look?
Like, that's another thing.
Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, Slipknot.
That's kind of like the less. I mean, I'm not talking all emo music, but just the look. It's kind of the less pussified look, I think.
Because it really it's like emo, but more badass looking, I guess you could say.
I mean, I don't
I'm
think...
not necessarily... Now, some of Marilyn Manson's costumes, though, like, I think that's what kind of steered me away from him at first, because you'd look at him like, I don't know if I want to be listening to a guy who's wearing, like, a corset on stage or something.
Yeah.
And then you get later on, you're like, oh, no, he's actually really, really talented.
No, he's a very intelligent individual, but he's one... I mean, the whole industrial metal look, I think that's one of those things that's kind of... I think it depends how much you commit to it. I think it's going to be kind of like the emo thing. You'll probably see it at a lot of reunion tours or whatever, but beyond that, I don't think you'll see it too much in public, maybe. I don't know, unless, I don't know, so many things go away and come back.
Think about the original Slipknot costume. It really just looks like if you take those masks off, you can go back to, like, working on cars.
It kind of does.
Because that's really...
Or lay plaster.
Yeah, that's really, like, the only thing. It's like, what makes their costumes really unique more than anything else is the fact that, like, they got the masks. Because other than that, though, it just looks like a bunch of guys that just got off work from, like, the auto yard.
You know what probably had to happen with Slipknot? One, like, Corey Taylor or something probably had to say, all right, guys, I'm going to wear this mask. Like, oh, I want to wear a mask? Well, I want to wear a mask, too. So do I! It's like... Fuck,
okay, that's supposed to be my thing.
This is my thing. Okay, you gotta wear a different mask, though, right? I got the scarecrow-looking mask. You can, so...
Put the white mask on. You can put the Spike Evil mask on.
You put on a gas mask or whatever, some bullshit,
I have, like, I think that's the DJ guy that's got that on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eventually, they always... I don't know if... I was wondering about this. Do you think Daft Punk... Do you think it's really Daft Punk, or do you think there's maybe, like...
There's multiple Daft Punks?
Daft Punk, yeah, because they...
like somebody takes it over every 5 years.
Like the Blue Man Group or something. Is there, like, a mantle you have to reach? You get to pass it on to become the next Daft Punk?
Yeah, they just, like, bring in some other guy, like, techno guy.
There's, like, some kind of, like, obstacle course you gotta go through, and, like, most people don't make it out, but those who do... They gotta battle each other to the death, and the winner gets to wear the Daft Punk helmet.
Yeah, and they can be the new Daft Punk.
Yeah. And you're endowed with all the knowledge and all life experience of the past Daft Punk members that wore it,
Yeah, and you could
They, like, take off the mask, they put it on someone else, and they just, like, fall to dust or some shit.
And it just goes on and on.
Yeah. Because have they ever taken off those masks? Have they ever revealed themselves?
I don't know. They might have. I don't know too much about them. I just know kind of like they wear masks. They did the Tron soundtrack.
Yeah. They're actually in Tron. For all we know, maybe they weren't in Tron. Maybe
it could be somebody else.
They just, like, walk in. They just, like... Some guys just walked in, like, what's with the Daft Punk mask? Like, fuck, I don't know. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because, somebody had to walk up to, like, if they didn't walk on set with those masks, someone like, hey, boy, get me some coffee. Fuck you, I'm in Daft Punk. Like, oh okay, I'm sorry.
Why do you sound like you're 11?
But no, yeah. I haven't gone to a concert in a while.
I haven't. The main reason, I will say this, though, I think the main reason that keeps me going from concerts is there's a bunch of bands I don't want to see. And I just don't want to pay the money and take my time up just to wait, just to sit there and just do the fucking, like, monkey dance, waiting for somebody.
Betrayal monkey dance?
Yeah, waiting for somebody good to play.
I almost went to the Bridge Benefit, like, 2 years ago, but there was only, like, 3 bands that really caught my eye. And maybe my memory's a little shaky here, but I only remember being Smashing Pumpkins, who's one of my favorite bands, like probably one of my top 3 favorite bands. Neil Young, who's definitely up there, probably my top 10 favorite bands somewhere, and then like ZZ Top. Everything else, I was like,
that's actually not too bad. But the thing is that then again, you guys put up for 6 hours of stuff you don't care to hear.
The one I went to, it was kind of like there's some good people there. It was like the best ones were like Jerry Lee Lewis, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I'm not a huge fan of him, but he played good. And if you just play good, that can almost make it up.
Yeah.
Dave Matthews, Norah Jones, who I don't listen to her a whole lot, but I got a lot of respect for her, and she played good. And Los Lobos was there, and then everybody else was just kind of like, Good Charlotte or Two Good Charlotte, doing acoustic guitar, kind of like they didn't want to be there, you know?
Yeah, like they didn't know what to do.
Some band called Bright Eyes. Emo-ish band. There's an accordion. I think a washboard in there somewhere. Emmylou Harris, which is whatever to me. I know she's a classic, but I was just never into her shit. And I'm drawing a blank.
When I went to the Bridge, I went to it twice, and one year was really good, and the other year was really one of those ones where, like, the second time I went, it was really like, okay, it was cool to see Metallica play acoustically, and that's why you really went there. And then Jerry Lee Lewis played before him, which also makes it cool to say, like, I saw a concert where Jerry Lee Lewis opened up for Metallica.
Yeah.
And then Neil Young was there. But everybody else was like, I can't remember who they were. I just remember it was like, I don't care at all for all this other stuff. It was kind of one of those ones, like, it was literally like looking at your watch, like, when the fuck is, like, Metallica and Jerry Lee Lewis going to play? Neil Young. But the other year I went, though, was actually really cool because it was like Neil Young, Paul McCartney, Tony Bennett, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Eddie Vedder, Los Lonely Boys. There's like Sonic Youth, which is like okay, like one of those like that other '90s music that's not grunge, and so on. But there was like that was enough.
Sonic Youth, like kind of like the popular Pixies.
Yeah, that was pretty much what they kind of are.
I like the Pixies a lot. I don't really know a whole lot about Sonic Youth though. I know they're kind of the same ballpark though. No, but I remember like going there and it was just kind of like there's this little emo girl there, and it was just kind of like just sitting there playing her Game Boy, not really giving a shit. She's sitting like 2 seats away from me, kind of like a chubby little emo girl. And then all of a sudden, Good Charlotte comes down, like, oh my God! And like hands together, kind of looking, not blinking, staring at the stage, mouthing the words,
like trying to absorb like
the Good Charlotte-ness or whatever, and the Bright Eyes-ness. And then as soon as like a little bit, even though I was like a junior or senior in high school, I was in a little bit of this old man mentality because Christ Feels Nash and Young were on stage and back to her Game Boy. Like, legends are on stage right now.
They could die tomorrow.
Yeah, they really can fucking die tomorrow. Just take it. They're not embracing this, you know. But to her, it's like, whatever. They get Charlotte.
That guy looks like a walrus.
Yeah. So they actually do kind of like a few of them look like walruses.
But yeah, we'll see. If you ever look at the roster of that, there's actually some years where it's like, oh, Marilyn Manson played there, or like, you know, and Pearl Jam's always there, it seems like a lot, or at least Eddie Vedder is.
Apparently, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who's never seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers live, because everybody in our circle of friends have seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Even people who don't give a shit about the Chili Peppers, like, I saw them because they're opening for Jerry Lee Lewis at Bridge Benefit or wherever.
I had to put up with them.
Yeah. Like, God damn it.
I want to see the Red Chili Peppers, like, because nothing about, like, when you see Red School Benefit, it's cool. It's like, oh, I saw them acoustically, but it's like, it feels like I didn't get a real concert. I want to see Red Hot Chili Peppers with electric guitars.
You're not gonna get the same impact with "Suck My Kiss" on like acoustic guitar.
It's like even like I mean I've seen Metallica twice, but like Metallica with acoustic guitar was just one of those ones. Just sounds cool because whenever people tell you like, oh, I see Metallica like this, and that, it's like, yeah, have you seen him play acoustic though? I was like, no, that actually sounds pretty cool.
I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of throws you off.
I heard they did a few songs electric just because they're Metallica, and they.
I don't think they did. I think everything was acoustic.
Oh, okay.
Like, because they just played all, like, their, in a sense, like, slower songs, I guess, which Metallica, by this point, has enough songs to, like, back that up.
Yeah, they do.
And they only play, I mean, and when Metallica plays, like, they only have to play, like, 6 songs that equal out to, like, a regular person's concert. Because they're just that long.
They have those 8-minute epic songs.
Yeah, because like, even when they open up for the Rolling Stones, it's like, they play for, like, 45 minutes or something like that. Or so, but they only, it's like, it feels kind of weird like this. Like, they only played, like, 5 songs. Or 6 songs or something like that. It's just like, okay.
They still they're like playing, they're like looking up, they're just kind of looking around, just like with a scared look, like, why aren't you guys just like jamming out like you usually do? It's like Mick said, if we play better than him, we die. There's like snipers.
He gets a kick each of us in the balls.
There's snipers
really hard
everywhere, you know.
Have you seen Axl Rose was kicked in the balls once by Mick Jagger? Never been the same since.
Ever since then, he's been having like cornrows and shit. It changed him.
And has like friend issues. I don't know. Speaking of older people, we went and saw the good old Escape Plan with Schwarzenegger and Stallone, the Double S movie.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
And it also had 50 Cent and Sam Neill in it.
And Jesus.
Yeah, and then the guy that was in
Jim
Rambo
Caviezel.
4.
Yeah. Actually, I was wrong. That wasn't the guy who was in Rambo 4.
What was that guy in then?
I think
that guy looks so familiar. He's got to be in something.
I thought he was the dick. I should have looked it up on IMDb. I thought he was like the dickish guy from Rambo 4, like you know, like, we fucking kill, man. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're just the boat driver. I thought he was that guy, but no, he's actually.
You don't tell Rambo he's the boat driver.
Yeah, Rambo just took like, I don't give a fuck.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that movie, I don't care what people say. Rambo 4 is fucking
Rambo
amazing.
4 is. This sounds kind of weird. So I don't think everybody would get this, but that movie to me is a very like game changer movie as far as movies go. That right there is, if you could point out like pinnacle moments in like movie history, if people don't say Rambo 4 is not a pinnacle or movement, because it so fucking is. Because movies to me felt like they changed after Rambo 4. Something about that movie, and then another movie actually slightly tied to it, is the Grindhouse Plant Terror and Death Proof, mainly that. Is something about that point, that's when movies just became, as far as theatrically, more violent.
That before you get like NC-17 on that kind of violence. Now
Yeah,
you actually get...
because Rambo 4 was one of those first times it was like, holy fuck, look at that violence.
They're showing them kill because they actually Schindler's List, there are actually cuts and takes of them killing children. They said, Steven, what the fuck are you doing? You can't put... People are gonna fucking walk out.
You're Steven Spielberg, but Jesus fucking Christ.
Take that shit out. And then, in Rambo 4, they actually put them in. Because I was watching the movie, and like, oh, I know it's gonna be violent. But then when I actually see them, like, blowing people up and shooting kids and all that, just like... And it was violent. It wasn't just like a little puff of blood and going down.
Yeah, it was just like, pieces would just like...
And you saw like somebody stepping down a little girl and stabbing her. And it was just one of those things like... I remember in the movie, I was uncomfortable, but it's like, holy fuck, I give this movie credit for going there.
Well,
and they just gave you that...
blew my mind. It was just like...
And I wasn't angry, I was uncomfortable, but I was angry in the sense for the characters. It's like... But by the time Rambo gets on, like, starts killing people, like, kill that motherfucker, Rambo, kill him! It just amps you up, and it just gets to you. But that right there, though, ever since then, you're right, though. Ever since those movies, they've been excessively more violent.
And the nice thing, too, is ever since Rambo 4, too, it's like every action movie, you're always just guaranteed good violence. Because I remember as a kid, it was hard to find a movie, like, and I'm more thinking theatrically. It's like, yeah, you can always go to, like, the grindhouse movies, but then sometimes you kind of suffer for poorer stories in order for, like, more violence. But it was like ones, just your regular action movies, there was always cutaways, or if somebody got shot, you didn't really see blood, these boys seemed like, and then go over, and so on. And then every once in a while, you'd get a movie that did have good violence in it, like I always look at Total Recall, always had good violence, and so on. But it was like, it was like few and far between these movies that actually just had good violence. And ever since Rambo 4, we're guaranteed that good violence in any action movie. That's why Rambo 4 deserves to have like a placard on like 2008 January. That fucking changed everything.
And I'll go back to like Escape Plan in a second, but I just want to say this real quick. You get a lot of people who kind of roll their eyes at Stallone and Schwarzenegger now, saying these fuckers are this old and they're still doing these kind of movies. Which, if you feel that way, fine. But even people who felt that way, everyone I know at least, who felt that way and saw Rambo 4, were like, all right, I know he's an old guy now, but that movie was fucking badass. There are people that are saying, okay, I know they'll say what they want about Expendables or about what other action movie these guys have been in within the last 7 years, but they'll go back to Rambo 4 and say, but that one was badass. So I don't care what people say.
Well, I think it was what kind of happened is that like.
They expected the worst.
At first, these guys start off and they're doing their action kind of movies and whatnot, and then there comes a point, and then like I'd probably say it's like in the 90s, where people feel like, well, we've seen enough of this kind of like action movies, So then Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone, they start trying different things, and then almost like their popularity is like, it's still there among their fans, but they're not like as huge as they might once been. And I feel like by the time now in the 2000s and the later 2000s, what they've done is they kind of just say, you know what? Fuck trying to make movies for like everybody. We live in a world now where like you just pick a target audience because you can't really sell anything to everybody anymore. Yeah. So we're like, let's just make movies for our fans, because that's really what these last movies have been. Like, Last Stand, Bullet to the Head, The Expendables 1 and 2, and then like you'd even say Rambo and Rocky Balboa. It's like they're really just made for like, are you a Stallone and Schwarzenegger fan? Because here's your movies.
And that's the smart thing to go about it.
It's not shooting. It's not shooting for a huge audience. It's just shooting like, I'm just gonna give we're only alive for how many more years? Let's just give people what they really want.
Yeah, and I think one reason Rambo 4 turned out so good is people were expecting the worst. Like, because even when it was coming out, I'm like, I don't think they need to make a Rambo 4. But I wasn't expecting the worst, but a lot of people were. When you expect the worst, then you don't get something that's decent. You get something that's totally fucking amazing. Yeah. I'll say it. A lot of people may disagree. That's my second favorite Rambo movie, Rambo 4.
Well, I think so too. I think it's like after First Blood, that one probably is the
First Blood, Rambo 4, Rambo 2, then Rambo 3. That's for me at least.
I probably Rambo 2 and 3. That's a toss up. They're both good, but not nearly as good as the other two.
Yeah. So, but anyway, back to Escape Plan though. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
That was pretty.
It comes back around at the end because for a while it is very much just kind of like planning and a little bit of few punches here and there, but at the very end of the movie, it's like, no, you came to see Arnold and Stallone shoot some bitches.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I like about it, it's pretty much it's a prison break movie, and the thing about prison movies in general is like they feel like they're all kind of the same. There's the ones that stand out, like I think Escape from Alcatraz stands out a lot, and I think Shawshank stands out. But overall, I mean, there's even like other ones. I mean, like Lockup of Stallone. I mean, you know, Stallone's been in prison before. This is not his first time.
This could be his character from
There's
that.
like the Jean-Claude Van Damme one, and you know, there's all kinds of prison movies. And in general, they're kind of always the same thing. You know, you get your gangs in prison, you get your racism, you get like the bad warden, you get somebody getting raped. You know,
no rape in this one actually.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this movie. No fucking rape. There was a little bit of racism with, I guess, like the Muslim guys.
But the Muslim guy ends up being a cool character.
Yeah, but he ends up being a cool character. It wasn't that big of a deal. There was not really, like, you didn't see a bunch of, like, gang kind of people. Like, I mean, there was, like, obviously, like, that, but it didn't focus on it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of liked. It was just, like, it was a different prison movie. It's more just, like, Stallone, his job is to fucking break out of prisons for a living, so he just goes to all these different prisons. And for once, now he's kind of like, fuck, people want him, like, I'm not really too sure why people said, like, you know what, this guy is fucking costing us extra, because every single time this guy comes to our prison, we gotta change all the security around just because he found a fucking way out. So fuck this guy, let's put him in a tanker in the water.
Which that was actually a pretty good twist, because for a while they're like, for like the first quarter of the film,
it's like they're in these like sci-fi kind of looking like rat cage things.
And you're like, all right, they're trying to figure out, if we can figure out where we're at, then we have an idea of how to get out of here. And then once he actually manages to get out of there...
Yeah, he pops open and it's like, oh, that part right there was like, that's a good fucking thing. Because I did not expect it. I was like, oh, holy fuck.
That could have been like, that was kind of like, the thing that was cool about that was...
He could have popped up and fucking been in space. You didn't know.
Well, the thing about, what was awesome about that is, that's almost kind of like... Some people will complain about this, but I thought it was cool. Some people would almost complain that's kind of like a end of the movie twist. Like, they plan the whole time, they get out, like... We're fucked. The end. And then that's almost kind of like that kind of twist. But the fact is, they do that near the beginning of like the first quarter of the movie, and then from there, it's just like we got to top this somehow.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, now we realize we're on the ocean. How do we get out?
Now, yeah.
And then he does like that thing. He makes that sextant like out of, like the guy's glasses and some pens and paper and whatnot. That's fucking like MacGyver's that.
And then even though like Stallone, he's kind of like, even though he's still Stallone, he's not really the typical kind of Stallone. He is much more of a smarter, hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah, he's like the problem-thinking Stallone.
Yeah, he still like could handle himself in a fist fight, but he's much more of kind of like MacGyver Stallone. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's really what he is. He's like MacGyver Stallone.
Yeah, and then there's also like, it makes sense by the time you get to the end, because they say, oh yeah, because you're not the only person that goes into these prisons and does this. There's this one name, and they just throw this name out there, I don't remember what it is, and they just toss it aside.
And for some reason, I don't know why I didn't pick that up really right away. I was like, oh yeah. It was like at the very end, I was like, oh.
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, I was like, I feel kind of dumb. I was like, who else would it fucking be?
Because they tossed that name out you, and I just kind of forgot about that name. But when he gets in there... Because
everybody's going by different names when they're in prison.
Yeah, when he gets in there, like Arnold, right off the bat, is already kind of like, hello, Mr. Stallone, I'm your best friend. You know, he's always like, actually, that's not very good, Arnold. Like, oi, I'm your best friend. I can't even do a good fucking Arnold right now. It's too much pressure on me. No, but it's just like, when we get this right.
So how you doing?
I need your clothes, your boots, your motors. Okay, there we go.
So sometimes you just need to quote something first.
Yeah, like, Mr. Stallone, I'm your best friend. You know, it comes in out of nowhere. You're like, all right, this guy's up to something. And then it comes in at the very end. He's like, oh, he's this other guy. He had a fake name. Stallone had a fake name, and that was a code that was planned from the beginning for him to know. So like, oh, okay. Because for a while, I'm like, all right, something's up. Why is he best friends with him? And it all makes sense.
Buddy of him right away.
Was part of you expecting at some point, like, my friend Sylvester Stallone crawled through a river of shit to get to freedom? Would you expect that at any point?
No, I never was, but I could see how that could happen.
Yeah.
Just like at the very end, he's like, there's a box you need to go find out by this tree.
Yeah, exactly. They end up making a boat and going.
And then it's like, remember that town in Mexico? Like, no.
You think
you said that once?
Yeah.
It was like I don't speak Spanish, so that name did not stick to me whatsoever.
You think he would have like just crossed his mind like, dude, you're talking about something that we mentioned like once, like 15 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
It seemed like a pipe dream at the time.
You know, like for all I know, that tree could have gotten knocked down and put like a Walmart there or some shit.
Yeah.
You know?
We know how these things move in.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. That's still a beautiful movie, but I get it though.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I was part of me was kind of waiting for something kind of like that, but no, it is more of an action film. And then Jim Caviezel, you know, like Warden Jesus, plays a total douchebag in the movie, but you know, even though you hate that character,
Jesus plays a total douchebag in this movie. It's just funny to say it like that.
And he has some other show going on right now. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, one thing I thought was actually cool too is I liked how like there was a part where Arnold speaks like German.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, I don't think there's any movie he's ever spoke German in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of one.
There's actually that part because what happens is they have to go to what the isolation chambers, and this one the isolation chambers
So, like,
is
these giant bright lights.
yeah, this tiny little box they put you in, and they shine these bright lights on you for like I don't know how long you're in there. I'm assuming for like 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And when Arnold is like, there's a part where like they're all in the chambers at the same time, and Stallone figures a way out of there. So Arnold has to create a diversion. So what he starts doing, he starts like screaming in German and showing like pretending to have a mental breakdown. And I'll give the guy because a lot of people say he can't act. Right there, that was something I never seen Arnold actually, because even though he was acting in the movie, his character was acting, that was actually pretty believable. That was one of those things I've never really seen Arnold have that kind of vulnerability before. You know, he was faking vulnerability, but still, it worked, you know?
Well, it's just one of the ones, like, the guy spoke German his entire life, and I don't think any movie's ever utilized that, which is kind of weird to think.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought
It was like
cool.
afraid to acknowledge, like, no, don't say it. Call him John in this movie.
Yeah, you give him a good old American name.
John Sullivan. We'll go with that one, you know?
But no, I thought the movie was really good. I guess because like most ones, like a lot of times prison movies, it's generally not a topic I'm that interested in. And I think I say it just for the fact that all prison movies you mostly watch, they always feel kind of like the same thing.
And it's a little bit of that, but it does stand out in some ways.
I feel like this one stands out a lot compared to a lot of prison movies. And I guess one, it's like, even just the straight up look, it doesn't look like a regular prison. Like, everything looks different. You know what I mean? The guards look different. They got those kind of cool, like, black masks, so you can't really tell who's who except for by, like, shape and size.
And I thought that was kind of cool because they said, like, all right, how they figured out which guard's which. Like, because they all look the same, so they couldn't really figure out, they had to pay attention, like, at tendencies.
Quirks,
yeah, like, all right, that guy scratches all the time. That guy over there is always looking at his watch. He's fat. He's probably waiting for lunch. Stallone hates fat people, apparently.
Yeah, but, like...
And then, like, that guy over there is always kind of, like, bobbing his head. So it was one of those kind of things, like, that's how I distinguish them. And even, I thought that was kind of interesting right there. Plus, didn't they actually look kind of like to you, like, all the guards, given their outfit? Because they had the weird shoulder pads. They had these black mask kind of cover type deals. Didn't they kind of, like, look like 70s, kind of, like, 70s like sci-fi like goons or something like
yeah they really did. They look like, they could have been
Run.
like, you know, like design one for stormtroopers or something,
like Logan's Run or some shit like that, or maybe
well, that's like I think Logan's Run's like later 80s.
Okay, but something around those lines, you know what I mean?
Yeah, something. Yeah, look. Or you know what actually is a perfect example is THX.
Yeah,
like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's was like the key thing that was just it wasn't that standard prison movie. I mean, everything just kind of had like a different feel to it. And then to top it all off, it's like, oh, they're at sea, they're not in an actual prison. So it felt like a refreshing look on like the old-fashioned prison movie.
Mm-hmm. And Sam Neill has kind of like a little bit of a moment in there.
Yeah, it was bad. I didn't know Sam Neill was in it because earlier I was flipping through because I was trying to look up something on Stallone. I was like, oh, 50 Cent's in it? I didn't know he was in it. I don't remember seeing him in the trailer or whatever. And then I didn't look any farther. I just looked. It was just like the top floor, and then when I watched it, I was like, holy fuck, Sam Neill's in it?
Yeah.
You want to find a way to top a movie off, you put fucking Dr. Grant in the movie.
He's like, yeah, I figured inmates on a ship be less dangerous than dinosaurs, so here I am.
He's like, but we all know what happened last time we put like dinosaurs on a ship.
Yeah. For somehow the dinosaur's head managed to fit inside of the...
every little nook and cranny in this ginormous ship.
And then pull out, and for some reason the guy's hand was still attached to the steering wheel. Even though that was Jeff Goldblum, technically, now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah.
Wait, what?
No, in Lost World, remember there's the part when
I'm thinking about that. You said Jeff Goldblum, technically.
Well, because that was Lost World, because Jeff Goldblum, I was complaining about, there's the part in
there's
Lost
a part
World,
where the ship crashes on the land, and then you see all those people are dead in there. And then the first thing you're like, oh, it must be the baby T-Rex. And then they have that line where they're like, no, the T-Rex was brought in by helicopter, the baby T-Rex.
Like, how the fuck did it get? How the
hell did a ginormous like dinosaur like eat everybody in this ship?
Yeah, especially when
have you ever been on a fucking ship? It's not like just like one ginormous like gymnasium or something.
But you saw the hand grip to the steering wheel of the ship, just kind of like hanging there. It's like, how the fuck did it get its head in there?
Yeah, it's like what the fuck?
Yeah, that one was Jeff Goldblum. Okay.
That's what you meant.
Yeah. But anyway,
I like Lost World, but there's a handful of things in that movie just like
they suddenly go from like Hawaii to the Redwoods.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And then the fact that like the fucking phone rings in the motorhome, and
Julianne Moore.
Yeah, I was gonna say her other name, Sarah. She says, no, don't fucking answer that. Who the Wait, was that like a telemarketer calling or something?
You're in a fucking motorhome on an island with dinosaurs at 4:00 in the morning. Who the fuck else could be calling?
It's gotta be fucking important.
Yeah. So there's a handful of things like that, which are whatever. But,
It's almost, I really like that movie, but there's about 5 things, about 3 that are like, one of those ones like, I just don't get. I just want to someday sit down Steven Spielberg and be like,
explain to me.
Explain.
Well, there's deleted scenes. Explain.
The deleted scenes, there's like one scene. It more just adds to the movie. It doesn't explain any of this.
Well, you say, fuck you, I'm Steven Spielberg. Flips the table over
and walks out. Don't ever invite this guy in to explain my movies to me him again.
Yeah. Fuck you, you're buying me a new table. Walks out.
This is my house.
Shit, he's pretty fucking demanding, ain't he?
You destroy things in your own house and you demand something new.
But anyway, back to Escape Plan.
Mm-hmm.
But no, overall a pretty good flick. It's like, I don't know if I'd buy it. I mean, maybe it's like,
I'll buy it mostly because it's like, anything, I have like the Schwarzenegger collection, so it's kind of like, I'll pretty much buy any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. If the movie was maybe just like okay, I'd probably wait till it was like cheaper, but...
I'd probably go with $5 bin or something like that. That's it. $5 bin says like how much of a shopping selection we got here.
Yeah. But like for me, it's like one of those ones like, I'll probably buy it like day one,
I enjoyed it, yeah. It was definitely, It was also cool to see Arnold playing a different type of character.
Yeah, that was kind of, because he wasn't really like...
He was still badass.
Arnold, but he was still badass. But he was kind of like, he was like the buddy character of the movie. He was the Morgan Freeman of the movie.
He even had the beard.
Yeah, he even did. Because it was more like, it was a Stallone movie that had Arnold in it. That's kind of how it kind of felt. Like, he was kind of like the...
Which was cool if Arnold take a step down and just be willing to...
Yeah, like, not willing... Because, Arnold Schwarzenegger's always been just, like, the main character, unless it's, like, his, like, original couple of movies.
It's kind of weird, because for the longest time I thought of Arnold as the bigger star. But now, he's been kind of like the supporting character in a lot of Stallone films, like Expendables 1 and 2, and this...
Well, I think in like the long run of it all, I think actually really, I'd actually probably say Stallone's a little bit bigger of the star. If you really think about it, just like in the like full career runs, I think Arnold just had that huge popularity for that time period, and that's what. And during the '80s, I think Arnold was much bigger than Stallone. But I think Stallone just kind of like when you look back from like today all the way back to day one for Stallone, it's like he's done. I think he's just done a little bit more.
He's got a point because you do got Rocky, you got Rambo,
plus because
Cobra.
I think the biggest difference. That's a good one. But the biggest difference between like Stallone and Arnold, though, is the fact that Stallone also does a lot of writing and directing and all that kind of produce.
Which Stallone, you said he wrote that Homefront movie with Statham.
Yeah, I saw it when that Homefront trailer came up. I saw Stallone's name on the screenwriter.
Which it's one of those. That movie already looks kind of interesting, but the fact that Stallone wrote it, because Stallone
that actually really brings me in more.
Because he's a pretty good writer when it comes to action films. Because he wrote did he write Rambo 1?
Rambo 1's based off a book, but he did write the screenplay, I think.
He wrote the screenplay. I know he wrote and directed Rambo 4. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he did that one. That one, I know for a fact he wrote and directed.
He did with Rambo... He did with, like, Expendables 1, I think. I don't know if he wrote Expendables 1, but I know he at least directed Expendables 1.
Yeah, I think he wrote it. Or he might have wrote it with somebody else, but he most likely... He does write a lot of his. Even if he's not the main writer, he's still part of the writing team.
He's pretty good when it comes to writing an action film.
Well, he can write... I mean, like, he'll write things that aren't even... Like, there's that movie, the sequel to... Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive. He wrote and directed that one.
Really?
Yeah, with John Travolta and stuff, and that's the reason why John Travolta's in like super good shape in that one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then it's funny because you'll see some movies.
I feel dumb asking this. I've never seen that, but is Stallone in that movie?
No,
he's not in that movie, and he directed it.
Uh huh.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like there's a lot of times like you'll see it's like what the fuck's this Stallone? And it'll throw you off because it's like it doesn't seem like a Stallone movie, and Stallone's not even in it.
Well, it's kind of like, for instance, I mean, the huge difference, but it's kind of like, trying to blank on his fucking name, Ben Stiller. He, like, directed The Cable Guy. He wrote and directed that movie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that. He also wrote and directed Zoolander and Tropic Thunder. When you think about it, that makes sense. But then you see the trailer to the Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's like, that looks way different than anything he's directed before. So, I'm curious to see how that turns out.
So like that's where I feel like Stallone just kind of has the edge because he's kind of like the all-in-one package. He can act, he can write, he can direct, he can do a lot of things.
People kind of because he has that a lot of people just kind of like, oh yeah, he's one note, and like he can do more than that.
Yeah, well I think people kind of it's like he has that slight I guess disability because I think he had a fever when he was like 5 or something like that.
And whenever he does
and it gives him that slight like paralysis on like the left side.
Yeah, because whenever he does yell, he does have like his mouth completely adjusted to one side. Because we were saying it from the
it's really
helicopter.
like when anybody ever makes fun of him like that, it's like, so you're making fun of a disabled person?
It kind of is like that.
Because that's really what it sounds like.
Grant, he can kick your ass with one finger, but still.
Yeah, just because he's disabled in one side of the face doesn't mean he can't like.
Well, try to imagine explaining that to him. Like, no, you're making fun of a disabled person. Just getting all up, just getting in your
like,
face.
no, I'm trying to defend you against the other people that are making fun of you. I don't know.
Good flick though. I liked it.
It really is. Anything Stallone, Arnold, I'm pretty much there. It's like I can't wait for that Grudge match one. That just looks fucking amazing. Rocky versus Raging Bull.
I'm interested in
like
that.
That's like one of those movies like you never would have thought that would have come.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then the Expendables 3 is next year.
Expendables 3. I was surprised at how many fucking trailers there were to like the 10 o'clock showing.
I know, because most of the time, I notice when it's like a really late showing of a movie, they kind of cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
But this one was like, fuck, they're like 9 movies or something.
There's the Counselor trailer again, which is kind of like...
I can't wait to see that movie, but it's like, Ridley changed the fucking trailer. Like,
I know it's not just
for, like,
him,
last
but
3
yeah,
months.
it's the marketing team, you know? It's the same exact trailer. It's just mix it up. Do something a little different, you know?
Exactly.
And then there is also the Ender's Game trailer, which I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's like one of those ones, like, I don't feel like it's one of those like I gotta go out of my way to see it, but it looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like something I've always heard about for a long time and never had anything to do with what it was about until like that trailer came out.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's like somebody told me, because I read a little bit of the Halo novelizations, you know, like the before and in between games, you know. Couldn't really get into it. It was really just kind of like, I mean, it was alright, but it was kind of like Space Republicans, you know?
Yeah. It was kind of like what Halo
Going
is.
against the space terrorists, kind of, is what it generally is. Which, it's still a fun game.
I love it. Yeah, game-wise.
It's not going to deteriorate me from actually playing the game. But anyway, it's kind of like I hear... In that, they were like kidnapping, the way they created the Spartans was they're kidnapping kids and they're putting clones in their place or some shit like that.
Huh.
And then a little while later, the clones died. Like, oh yeah, there's some disease going around killing kids. And they were training the kids to be the world's greatest soldiers the universe
Master
never
Chief
seen.
comes back to home. He's like, "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad." They're like,
For some reason, their parents or his parents are roosters.
yeah, they just fucking like pass over and die. Like I thought he died at 5.
So his real name is John.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, but I said he was kind of a bully when he was a kid, which that makes sense.
Just
you know?
pushing people around.
Yeah.
Like, fucking pushing Mario around.
On the playground, you know. Looks over at Kirby like, "Oh, you're next, you fat fuck." Like runs off. No, but
you fucking suck me in. I'll stick a plasma grenade inside you.
yeah, exactly. But then he ends up, you know, of course, swimming Master Chief and along with the other Spartans. And apparently Ender's Game, that took from Ender's Game. Apparently Ender's Game is doing this whole thing where it's like, I don't know if they kidnap the kids or what, but they're training kids and putting kids in combat to like get ready for this alien invasion because they need like people who are ready and like people who already have like, already war torn and just ready to kick ass by the time they get there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there'll be a handful of more interesting movies in the last while.
that's what I heard. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I heard Ender's Game is about, so.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess tune in. It's a good place to end it.
All right.
So check out oldmanorange.com for all kinds of fun things. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later.
Bye.